I was, yeah. As a child, Tintin's very free. I think for Northern Europe, it's part of every childhood. You know, growing up, I watched the cartoons a lot as a child, and latterly read the books, and so it was fun to be part of a story that I'd known since I was really young. Spielberg became attached to it because the European journalists had compared Raiders to Tintin and said that Indiana Jones is very much like Tintin, and Stephen hadn't heard of it and had sought out Hergé and became friends with Hergé, and Hergé was very keen that Stephen be the man that brought Tintin to the big screen, and then sadly Hergé died, but his widow stayed friends with Stephen, and Stephen held on to the rights, and you know, along came performance capture, which was the perfect medium because it enabled him to direct as a actors as he would, but to have the aesthetic of Hergé on the screen, you know, because that was always the reason why he didn't do it immediately, was because, yeah, he could do it live action, but it would just be people. It wouldn't be the classic look that Hergé created. So along came this technology which enabled him to literally have his cake and eat it. Not literally. It's digital cake. We just used to bug him about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and it's because of that, it's because of those conversations. We were just prepping Paul at the time, and we told him about the film and said, oh, we had this idea that maybe you've been in touch with him over the years, and he's given you sort of pointers to various things in your movies, and he sort of said, oh, that's a really funny idea, maybe I could be in the film. And Nick and I immediately ran away and wrote a scene and went, well, funnily enough, here's the scene, and he just did it for fun, you know, and so. Yeah, that was it was mainly our own love of his films that came up on set. You know, any chance we had to talk about Raiders or whatever, you know, we'd do it. And he was fine to talk about it. He's not falsely modest or anything. He's just a filmmaker. All that, you know, bullshit celebrity stuff is just doesn't mean anything to him, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of more like being a child again, you know, like when you're a kid and you're play acting, you don't have any props, you don't have any costumes, you don't have any makeup, you know, you comes from somewhere deeper within. And being in those weird suits, you know, and it isn't actually balls, it's like little reflective markers over your face and dots, and you do have balls on your face initially, but then they
That's how you get the job.
yeah, let's say you get a job. Then it becomes a lot simpler, just dots, and that this is all going to change. I think the technology is evolving so fast. I think within maybe 3 or 4 years, you won't have to wear the suit or even the head cam. It'll just all be, you just do it, and it will capture you somewhere, you know, just without having to need those markers. But yeah, we don't look so. Me and Nick didn't look so good in our suits as Daniel Craig and Jamie did. They looked really good. Nick and I looked like a sack of spuds. It was. I can't wait to do it again. Now I'm in sort of Benji fighting fits. I can't wait to get my suit on again and show off my pecs. It is really weird on this particularly because in animations that I've done in the past, like Buck in Ice Age 3, I can occasionally see myself in him. I occasionally see, because the animators use me as a reference. With this, because it's a combination of animation and our actual performance, there are moments when I can really see myself, or Nick particularly, in the character, and it's because the very beginning of the process is us acting out the film as you see it. All the movements that you see, with the exception of the environments and Snowy, are based on what we do in the studio initially. So the physicality and facial expressions of the characters are very much us. And that can be quite strange when you see it. You know, you think, oh, hell, I can see Nick inside there. But it is very much an animation. I mean, what we do is simply give the animators a template. And you know, we end up getting a lot of the credit because it's supposedly performance capture, but the animators are the people that really make it sing, you know. But yeah, every now and again, underneath all of that, you see yourself, and it's quite strange. Yeah, in both cases, and it was very interesting to see Stephen like suddenly given free rein to do anything, and see Brad having to kind of adapt to not being able to do anything, you know, but still wanting to do anything he possibly could. So Stephen was discovering the technology as he went, and was kind of like, you know, what happens is you act out the scene, and then that scene exists as a 3D event inside the computer, which can be refilmed from any angle. You can look at that 3D event. So we film this teacup, then that teacup becomes digital, and you can look at it. So you can shoot it as many times as you like from different angles. And Stephen was learning. He'd be on set with the camera at first, as if he was filming us, when really he didn't have to do that. He could just direct us acting, and then later on look at it and film it, if you know what I mean. I still don't understand it entirely. But it was fun to see him suddenly given the opportunity to literally be able to shoot from under the ground, you know, without having to dig a hole, or be able to shoot from whatever angle. And also to see Brad going, why are these people coming in and touching them on the face? What is this? Why do they have little powder puffs? Why do they need this? And it was because, you know, animated characters don't need touch-ups. So it was really fun to work with two such accomplished directors who were enjoying a freshness, you know, and a newness to the technology. I felt very privileged to see them both doing that, and of course mastering it immediately. You know, they're both of them very, very gifted men. So it was great to see them getting comfortable in those new environments. A little bit. We had to improvise how we moved, and we had to come up, you know, to sort of settle upon a physical language, which we sort of started working with Terry Notary at Cirque du Soleil at first, and it was very stylized at first, and then we pulled it back down into something a little bit more realistic. But at times, you know, when the Thompsons they'd always be arguing, because they were constantly trying to one-up each other. And so at the end of scenes, we'd walk off, go, I'm not your psychic, you're my psychic, all this kind of stuff. And Stephen used to let us do whatever we want. So at the end of scenes, maybe we'd sort of repeat to fade, and sometimes come up with something good, which would make it into the film.